You're listening to the Dynamic Thinking Project podcast. This is episode 11, and today's topic is the comfort zone or the gray zone. Hey everyone, Adam Musallihi. Welcome to the Dynamic Thinking Project podcast. If this is your first time listening, then thanks for coming. This podcast is released every Friday, and show notes are found at the website, themindtechinstitute.com. It's all one word. Come back often and feel free to add this podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook. All links are in the show notes and website. And now, let's get into the show. As the last episode, I'm also gonna start this episode with a short disclaimer. This episode may cause some people to feel uncomfortable, especially those who chose to pass their lifetime just living day to day, just as the rest of the 7.5 billion people. Most of those 7.5 billion people just conform to everything they see, hear, and know, just as the rest of the herd. So I do apologize in advance if you feel upset or offended in any way, but of course, and as usual, I am not sorry for opening your eyes on something maybe you're doing unconsciously or never been aware of consciously. And I assure you, if you keep an open mind till the end of this episode, you'll start looking at life and the way you think and behave differently. And once again, I am not your enemy. This is a very interesting and important episode, and actually, it's part of our online NLP training as well as our online life management training. It is very important to learn about it. I mean, the comfort or gray zone, especially if you are trying to develop yourself spiritually, financially, intellectually, or seeking any kind of success in general. This episode will help you a lot in your development path. So, what is the comfort zone, or as also known, the gray zone? The comfort zone is whatever makes you feel same or make life seem familiar to you. So if you go every day doing the same thing, such as a job, for example, and you've been doing it for a long time, if you hang around the same people all the time and you don't often meet new people, if you hang around maybe the same religious or scientific group, or even the same political party, you don't read different magazines or articles except what your spiritual, religious, or scientific or political institution allows you to, and maybe you don't even watch different media. Maybe you only watch the media or news your country or what belongs to the group that you belong to. So it's all about what makes you feel safe and doesn't make you feel uncomfortable or challenge what you know. This is where you are. This is the comfort zone. And it's called the gray zone for a reason, because it's gray. It's colorless and sort of semi-lifeless. This state of comfort zone is a natural behavior. We have it because we think this behavior keeps us safe. But actually, it doesn't. It just gives us the notion of being safe because you and your belief system, as what you grew up knowing, don't feel challenged. A belief system is not necessarily means a religious belief, but it means anything that you believe in. However, is the comfort zone a good state to be in or a good behavior? Well, that depends who you ask. If you don't want to develop yourself or expand your business or your life in general, then it could be a good state for you. But those who want to evolve, expand, develop themselves, evolve in life on many levels, and become successful in any way, then the comfort zone is not a good state. As a matter of fact, it's a bad state. It's a dead, gray zone. I believe that comfort zone isn't a good state and it isn't a healthy state either, because everything makes you develop yourself and grow is always outside your comfort zone. And if you don't leave that zone, life, it gets really boring. So let's see how we can break ourselves out of this prison of our comfort and branch out and expand ourselves and boundaries to get out of the comfort zone and to develop ourselves and become who we really want to be. And no one said it better than Thomas Eliot. He said, only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. But before we go on to see how far we can go, you need to know that the comfort zone is usually linked to or associated with other behaviors or other limiting beliefs, which some people do have, such as self-confidence. Some people, they stay in their comfort zone because they feel that lack in their self-confidence. They do it because they often think what other people are going to think of them when they do something or when they say something. So they always stay quiet. They always stay with their people, their clan, their group. They always talk to the same people they talk to. They don't say something that people are not used to them say. Or they dress always in the same style. That's sadly because most of the things we do in our lives are usually dictated by thinking what other people think of us. And that's sad. Imagine that one day you wanted to do something new. Could be a new hairstyle or even talk about a new experience that you had, but you couldn't do it because you were thinking of what other people may think of you. And especially if one day you went to meet new people, people who are outside your comfort zone. But of course, you couldn't do it because you don't want to be challenged or what you know to be challenged by anyway, so you couldn't. Here's an example. Maybe one day you went somewhere and you listened to someone who was talking and then you felt that you wanted to know more things about this person or you wanted to learn more about that knowledge which the person he or she was speaking of. Now let's stop for a second. You see, that person who was talking about that topic and grabbed your attention, that person is outside his or her comfort zone. Why? Because he or she doesn't care about what you think or about what anybody else think of them, regardless what topic it is. Even if the topic was considered as a conspiracy to others, it doesn't matter to them. So that speaker is an example of someone who is outside his or her comfort zone and don't give a rat what others think of him or her. He or she believes in what they are doing and didn't mind going outside their comfort zone to challenge their belief system by reading, learning, and researching about that topic or whatever they are talking about, and also talk about it to other people. And of course, those other people, many times they will be outside their comfort zone. I mean, the speaker's comfort zone. I'll give you another example. Think of episode 4 of this podcast. I knew that podcast would cause lots of talk and controversy. And of course, few lashes from some people who don't want to get out of their comfort zone. But I know where they are. And what I was saying is, and always based on tons of researches, not just my personal opinion. You see, an open-minded person isn't only a word, but it's to open your mind and challenge what you know and listen because you always learn something new. And I'm not saying it's easy, because when you do, you're actually challenging your core belief system, which is a system that sets boundaries around what you believe. But here's the beauty of that. Every time you learn a new thing, you're actually helping the whole world to advance. We as humans wouldn't come that far with technology, science, philosophy, or anything by being in our comfort zone, which is technically a safe zone. And let me tell you something about the safe zone. Safe is boring. And I'm not saying safety is a bad thing. Not at all. But what I'm saying is sometimes we have to take risks. And that's how we know what we know about the oceans and their depth and space and the universe. The only way we could do that is when we went outside our comfort zone and outside the box, which is our mind. And that is an open mind. It's a mind open to learn new things and isn't afraid to be challenged. Because after all challenges are just opportunities. However, there are consequences in leaving your comfort zone, and the biggest one of them is feeling uncomfortable. But it's tolerable. And of course it is. Feeling uncomfortable isn't a bad thing. As a matter of fact, feeling uncomfortable is what makes you grow. Once I heard this metaphor, and it really fits this podcast. Lobsters are soft animals. They live inside a hard and rigid shell. And that rigid shell, it doesn't expand or grow with them. So how the lobster would grow? Well, as the lobster grows, the lobster feels under pressure and the shell becomes very uncomfortable. So the lobster goes under a rock or a shelter to protect itself from predators. It casts off its shell and produces another one. And eventually, the new shell will become also uncomfortable. And once again, the lobster goes under a rock and casts it off again into a new one and keeps repeating that numerous times. So, what do we learn from this metaphor? Well, we learn that the stimulus for growth is feeling uncomfortable. And lucky us, we don't have that shell around our bodies to grow. But some people have that rigid shell around their minds. And when some people feel uncomfortable to listen to new things or step out of their comfort zone or let their guards down to learn new things they're not used to, or something goes against their belief system and what they know, even if what they know is wrong. Now, what do you have to do to get out of this comfort zone? It's very easy. All you have to do is let your guards down. And no, I'm not saying to be gullible. And I'm not saying to be naive or even unprotected. By the way, speaking of protection is basically based on fear. You see, people fear to learn new things because they are afraid to change. And what do you do when you know that you've been doing something wrong for a very long time? You gotta change it. You gotta change the way how you're doing it. And the fear of change is what stops people to learn. As you see that both lead to each other. The fear to learn and the fear to change after learning. Now, the type of fear that I'm talking about is not the instinct fear as don't touch the fire because it will burn you. No, the fear I'm talking about is the fear of change and growth. Actually, in psychology, there is a phobia called achievemophobia, which is the fear of success. So, yes, some people have it and they're not aware of it. They're not aware of having it. That's a whole different topic which needs a whole episode to cover it, and soon we'll do. But for now, here's a simple thing you can do. Let's say there is something new you want to try. If you feel any type of fear, notice the type of fear that is holding you back from doing it by simply just asking yourself, what is really holding me back from doing it? And be honest with yourself. For example, you ask yourself, why I'm not doing it, whatever it is. Why I'm not reading that book. Why I'm not listening to this lecture. Why I'm not taking this course or something you felt interested to do. So notice that type of fear. You can write it down on a piece of paper or imagine it as a physical thing or whatever helps you to get yourself associated with your feeling towards that fear. And then stop, step back, and look at it again. And ask yourself, how much is it going to hurt me if I try to do it? Or if I try it? Now, if it's not going to hurt you or hurt others physically and morally, or put you and others at risk, it means you are the one who is actually giving more power to that fear than what it really worth. You're just making it more bigger than what it really is in your mind, and maybe to use it as an excuse because you feel safe where you are. But the downside of staying where you are is that you'll always stay where you are. If this is what you want to do in your life, well, I'm not here to change your mind. But if you really want to achieve something in your life and achieve any kind of success, then you really need to step out of your comfort zone. And here's another thing. If you're afraid of something or afraid of doing something, and you haven't tried doing it in your whole lifetime, then how would you know that you should fear that thing or you should be afraid of doing it? I mean, you touched the fire when you were a child and you knew that it's dangerous to play with the fire, which I understand. But how can you fear something you never tried? And you know what? Once you conquer that fear and do it, you will notice how silly it was, and that you spend your whole lifetime being afraid and worried to do it. And you missed out on the whole experience just because you were afraid to try. Just do what you have to do, or at least try, and you will get there. Even if you don't get it right the first time, just the efforts of trying is a great honor. Now, here's the secret to any kind of success. Sometimes you have to shake your model of the world. And that's as we call it in NLP and hypnotherapy. Model of the world, it means where your life is right now. And that's what we actually do in our NLP and hypnotherapy and life management training. We put you against things to get your mind to expand. Because no one can advance in life to the next level if they keep using the same mentality or the same old comfort zone, or the metaphor of the old shell and the growing lobster. You see, some people, they want everything to change around them, but they themselves don't want to change. People usually run towards comfortable and happy experiences, and forgetting that the uncomfortable and unhappy experiences are there to change you, to change them. Let me say that again. Many people usually run towards comfortable and happy experiences, but they always forget that the uncomfortable and unhappy experiences are there for you to change you than to change them. So step outside your comfort zone and see what's outside the box. Go to themindtechinstitute.com and click on the online courses tab, and you can sign up and study any course you want online, totally online. And of course, you can study it through our app. Just go to your app store or Play Store, whatever you're using, Android or iPhone, and just put the Mind Tech Institute. Download the app and you can study any course. That's it for today, and thanks for listening. The Dynamic Thinking Project podcast is released every Friday. If you have any question, you can email me. The email is on our website, themindtechinstitute.com, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until then, take care and enjoy your weekend. This is Adam Musalli, signing out.